How'd it go this week?
Okay. I don't know. We had like an incident last night when I got home from work. It was like around midnight or so, and I took him out into the backyard just like to go to the bathroom. Like when it's late like that, we don't do that. I had the leash in my hand, but I didn't have the leash on him, and I had like the collar on and everything. Took him out there. He would pee already, and he was like sniffing around to go poop. But one of my neighbors came home. She like parked in the back, which is like right next up in the backyard. And like went walking. I grabbed him at that point already, so I was like holding his collar. But we lost power on our street, so like all the street lights and stuff are out, so all the backyard lights are out. Like the inside lights work, but like all the outside stuff's still out. So it's really dark out. So he like was flipping out. Like that's the most I've ever seen him react to a person in a really long time. Like he was flipping out. And then of course she brings her dog out there. I'm like, why the hell would you do that? Like, I've talked to her about Ollie. Like, she knows. Like, I was just really annoyed, so I just took him inside. Okay. But
was her dog off leash, or she just had her dog?
No, she got her dog on the leash. She usually doesn't, but she didn't actually bring the dog on the leash.
Okay. So was it like she had her dog on the leash and she was trying to greet you guys, or?
No, well, when she was just walking like to go into her apartment when she had just gotten out of the car, she was trying to come over to him, and he's freaking out. Like you can sense that when a dog, I don't know, but she was like, "It's okay, I'll come say." I'm like, "No, don't." He is not calm. Like,
sure.
But not with the dog. No, she was just like, I just saw the dog out of the corner of my eye. Like I heard the door close or whatever. The dog was like over there, and then I grabbed Ollie, and then she was like, "It's okay, she's on a leash." And I'm like, "Okay, but you just give us like 2 minutes and we'll be out of here." I don't know. So anyway, I don't know. I just haven't seen her react to a person like that in general, and I don't know if it was like a combination of the yard, the lights, the whatever.
Sure.
But yeah.
Okay. So you're in the yard.
Yeah.
Neighbor pulls into the back.
Yeah.
And she opens her door and he starts pulling up, or is it like when she starts talking to you?
It was when she was like getting closer, like when she was walking down the pathway to like get to her unit.
Sure.
She was talking, yeah. So I didn't even notice who it was at first. Like I didn't realize that was a girl that I knew in the building until she like got closer.
Sure. Okay. So I think it makes sense that because it was so dark.
Yeah.
I mean, if you could barely recognize her until she was that close, then I would suspect it's the same way.
Okay.
So you got him back. You then leashed him up, or you're just holding his collar at that point?
No, I didn't. It was just like dark, and I didn't want to try to like. I didn't want to have to let go or anything. Like I was just holding his collar.
Okay.
I just didn't want to.
Did he have his e-collar?
Yeah.
Were you tapping it on? What's the highest you went?
It was at 65, but I was like, I was trying to turn it up, and I was like trying to do all these things. So towards the end of it, I like got it up a little bit. Honestly, I don't even know to what I just like got it up. But he was like not responsive to it.
Okay.
At that point, I mean, it probably was just too low. But
Yeah, for sure.
For that.
Yeah. So all that makes sense to me. My biggest concern was if you're holding him by like the flat collar or the prong.
Yeah.
As you go higher, my concern for you would be the redirect. Because you go to such a high level that when it finally cuts through that anxious reactivity, he's going to want to direct it somewhere, and it's the closest thing, which is the handler.
Right.
Okay. Now, I would expect it. You may not be expecting it, and then people perceive it as a whole new problem, and I'm like, no, like it's not. It's not a problem. It's that it was so uncomfortable. It's just got to go somewhere, and you just happen to be there. That's why I asked if you had clipped his leash or whatever.
Yeah.
So what I would suggest, if you come across that situation again, is always, if he is not completely leashed, if you can get that done first, because if you're right there as you're remoting and you jack it up, like you're in prime fight zone.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Otherwise, we have a context essentially that we know we need to work with. He's not the first dog. Even dogs that I know that don't have his level of anxiety have responded the same. So I mean, if you put yourself in that situation, if you saw someone coming towards you that you didn't recognize, and they look big and scary, like you're gonna feel a certain way. Except he's in the I gotta protect myself and my owner mode. So again, not coming from a bad place, just not very acceptable in the human world. And like you said, you talked to your neighbor before. Like, come on, that's that's on them.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we'll keep an eye on that.
Okay.
Anything else?
Just like, I don't know. Well, we're moving again. Apartment has plumbing issues, so it's going to be a whole deal.
Where weren't you the one that?
I just moved in June. It's like a sick joke.
Sure.
Yeah, we've had a plumber come 5 times.
Wow.
It's like absurd. So they
not
have
paying for
to
it.
clearly repipe it, and so they're terminating our lease. So we're moving again on the 25th. We finally found an apartment. So
Okay.
apartment number 6 for him in 3 years. And
Sure.
I just feel horrible, but
Oh yeah.
so that'll be a new round, I guess, to take in.
Are you in the neighborhood or are you?
It'll be in Wrigley.
Okay.
The only concern that I have with that building is we don't have a private entrance, and I always have tried to look for that with him just because of how he is.
Sure.
So that's going to be a little bit of a challenge, but
Is it like an elevator type building?
no, it's not an elevator building. I would never do that. But yeah, there's just no problem.
Okay. So is the concern you're going to be passing by more people?
Yeah, there's like even when I was there for the showing, like I saw 3 dogs come out. Like there's a lot going on.
Okay. So, also,
I know.
yeah. You know, as you're coming out, as you're going in, it's no big deal. I have plenty of clients to do it. Better safe than sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, put you at ease. Anything else?
Peed in the bed. I think it was the storm. So that was like a weird thing.
Oh, sure, that big storm on Monday.
Yeah, but he's done that since he was like 1. So I was like, I didn't yell at him. It wasn't like I knew something was weird, but yeah, that was the only other thing. Walks up and opens. As soon as we get to this park, it's like he knows he needs to be right next to me, and then once we get home, he thinks he like slack off. Like,
Okay.
is that possible that he's correlating?
Well, yes, technically, because like when you're here, you're under my instruction.
Yeah.
So if I tell you go to 127, you're at 127.
Yeah.
But if you go and you're working with Ollie and he's telling you, you know, not verbally, but like
Right.
by his response of not adhering to the obedience,
Yeah.
that hey, you need a higher power if you're going to need me to obey,
Yeah.
and you're not going there,
Yeah.
then that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, because it's not so much like yes, me here, but I wouldn't say it's so much the park as it is me.
Yeah.
Because he's like, hey, when Jesse's here, I noticed that mom makes me listen, right? And then when you're on your own, you may not be seeing that. So he's not the first dog.
Okay.
I tell everybody almost always, 90% of the time, if the dog isn't listening, you're too low.
It's even like just the obedient walking factor. As soon as I get out of the car here, he immediately is like bumping my hand, checking in with me. When we're at home, he starts trying to like charge ahead a little bit. And I'm like,
The other thing is comfort.
yeah.
You know, like you're gonna behave differently once you're in a comfortable environment as opposed to an unknown environment.
Yeah.
You know, same thing for dogs. So, but again, just a number.
Okay.
Okay, so what's your operating number been around the neighborhood?
Usually around 7.
Okay. I think we had a class a couple weeks ago where I said it was like 85 or something.
Yeah. Keep it there. Like, so sometimes when I do that though, and it's like that's like the first time I click it, he literally like jumps up.
Sure. Right? So then we end up having an issue. So you're at 70,
Yeah.
he's not listening, and you're at 85 and he's jumpy. So then I play in the middle.
Okay.
77, 78, right? See if that's the balance. But it's rare, but in some cases, I will get a dog that gives a really big response, but then will listen, and anything lower, they won't listen to, right?
Okay.
So then I tell the owner, it sucks, but once your dog gets it in their head that, you know what, you're not gonna lower it, and it's gonna either be, hey, I'm gonna get you pretty good, and you better listen and you deal with the jumpiness, because once he decides, like he's gonna stop at some point.
Right.
He's gonna go, this is not worth it. But you have to go to that period of the jumpy response, okay? So, but otherwise, I would play with in between, like, you know, 75, 80, whatever, and then it should be super simple. It should never feel like an argument. Once you hit that number, it should be like you said. Once I get here, he just knows, right? It should be like that from the get-go, okay? So yeah, almost always number. Other questions? Anything in particular you'd like to work on?
No, it's just reactivity.
Okay. Reactivity as in last night, right? Have you seen any reactivity on the walk? Okay. The 85 may fix that.
Yeah.
Okay, because again, so when it comes to reactivity, there's a couple ways of approaching it. One is directly, which is Ollie blows up and I give consequence, right? And let's say 70 is enough to stop it, but it keeps happening, then it's just enough to stop it. It's not enough to sink in that lesson of don't do it again, right? So then 85, for example, if you start noticing like, wow, ever since going to 85, the reactivity is getting less and less and less progressively over time, then I go 85 is the number, okay? There should either be one, no argument when we're doing stuff that he knows, or two, you should start to see a greater gap between the need to address him for certain things, okay? And it's again, almost always the number. Ideally, and by reactivity, are we talking about lunging, barking, or are we talking about looking at dogs?
The lunging.
Okay, 85. Okay. Yeah. When you're here, we can do 77 or whatever. Yeah. But just come in at 85, and if you need to go higher, you go higher. Okay. That's why we use this model because it gives us a range. Okay. I've had people be at 127. You know, I've had some really tough dogs, and it sucks. But everybody has a breaking point. That's just what it's going to be his. Okay. When he's become reactive, what are you noticing it with? Is it dogs, is it people, is it both?
Mostly dogs.
Mostly dogs? What are those dogs doing?
Mixture. He reacts to both dogs, not reacting to him and dogs.
Okay. So. Small, big, doesn't matter? Okay. Running, walking?
Well, definitely the running behind the fence is big. That one for sure.
Okay, that's its own thing.
Yeah. But as far as like another dog walking while we're walking, I would say they're walking. Yeah.
Okay. Are you stepping aside or are you still moving?
Stepping aside. You're
stepping aside. Okay, cool. So you stepped aside, you're facing the dog, you're at 70, he becomes reactive, 70 stops him?
No.
Okay. And do you have to bump it?
Yes.
What do you bump it to?
I usually 80, like high 80s.
Okay. And then he stops.
What does he stop? I don't know. I feel like at that point the moment's like kind of gone.
Okay. So you want to build from previous experiences, right?
Yeah.
So if I step aside at 70 and it doesn't work, the next time I'm aside at 80. The next time I step aside at 90. The next time I step aside at 100. The next time, you know, every failure I go, okay, 80 didn't work, 90 didn't work, 100 didn't work, 110 didn't work, 120, right? Until we find that zone, okay? Now, and I know they discontinued that model, but he's on the lower power model as well, right? So that's another factor. But so now you're gonna start off at 85, okay? No questions asked, just 85. If he yips, too bad. It is what it is, because you have to think about the bigger problem. I don't want to. By this point, you should not be dealing with reactivity. By this point, it should be the occasional moment. You know, you turn a corner, the dog's behind fences, but it's because you're operating too low. Okay, so suck it up, 85, and now when you step aside, you'll be at that number, ready to go. And if he yips, he yips. So the idea here is that he's more paranoid about you and what you're doing and having him do than he is about the dog. Okay. In other cases, it's he's being reactive, and I'm able to put a consequence on him that he retains, and we don't see reactivity. So it's like, oh shit, I haven't seen him be reactive in 10 days. Great, 95 worked, right? Then I correct him again. Then it's like 2 weeks before I see another moment. Then I correct them again. Then it's a month before I see a moment. It's just bigger and bigger gap. Okay? Other questions? So when we see Emily with Mac, Mac is also dog reactive. So you'll both have your dog's muzzled and stuff. You brought yours?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll get to work on that a bit more as well. Anything else? So with the visiting, like guest stuff, I figured we'd do duration work. Okay, as a means of this goes hand in hand with the exercise that we would have covered yesterday. Okay. So it's like, let's say you bring someone over and Ollie isn't too comfortable, or maybe your guest isn't too comfortable with like what the, you know, with him or whatever. It gives you control of them, and there's rules around it. But at least you can like kind of remove him from the picture of, okay, he's there, he's not going to move. I can relax a bit, and if he does move, I know I need to correct him and put it back. Okay. Anything else? Nope. Alrighty. So we'll go ahead and move over here. Alrighty. Have you ever done this place command before?
Place? I mean, that's what we use at home. Place.
Okay. How do you use it?
What's your place?
When do you use it?
Lots of times. I don't know. When he's annoying, when he's whining, when there's not room on the couch and he's trying to make room, when we're cooking in the kitchen.
Okay. Did you go over this with your previous trainer?
I mean, a little bit, like, yeah. So I wasn't really involved with that training, but like she went over it with two in-person trainings that we did.
Okay.
Because it was a board.
Okay, so what we're going to do is going to show me how you employ it, you know, I was super simple place on that stuff, and how you would reinforce it, and I'll go from there.
I mean, I usually wouldn't have a switch on him, but I'm not.
Right.
What's your place? Allie, place. Okay, no, go to your place. Come on, up here.
Was there any remoting there?
No.
Okay. Go ahead and release them.
Like get off?
Yeah.
Free.
Okay, we'll do one more.
Do it again. Do you want me to remote him or no?
Yeah, whatever you need to do.
Place. Go to your place. Place.
Okay. So I'm just trying to get a feel for he's got a concept.
Yeah.
And I'm not putting it against him because he's never done place on this object that doesn't immediately transfer.
Yeah.
Like a person, like you know, like and you got a dog running around, is if someone describes you what a place is, you can just naturally figure out if someone said place, what to do within that context.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna layer more remote over this
Okay.
to make it more of a direct send, and we're not going to do so much walking with him. Okay. So we're gonna release him,
Free.
and you're gonna present Ollie about at this point 2 feet.
Okay.
You're not gonna move.
Okay.
You're gonna give the cue of place. I'm sorry. Blah, 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 blah. You're not gonna say place.
Okay.
What you're gonna do is you're simply gonna start tapping,
Okay.
and you're gonna lightly pull towards the mat.
Okay.
Okay. Until he goes there. Good boy. You're gonna praise, and no words here. Okay. So you're just anchored here, tapping. You help him. If you have to bump it, you bump it, and you go until he gets into place. Once it's completely on there, any tapping does stop.
Okay. Yo.
Yep. Good. Just like that. We're gonna repeat that 4 more times.
Good. Free.
Yep. Good. One more.
Free.
Oh, right. There's a joke in my family. My sister, when he just started doing something on the phone, Lego. I'm on the phone talking about Super Life.
Good.
Look at her face. We're on the
Two more.
phone now. I'm like, very funny with you guys. That's my nephew. I'm talking to him. We're doing a good thing on my nephew. And I'm talking to my nephew. We're like, okay, I'm out.
Better. Last one.
Free.
Right. Good. All right. So pretty simple. We're going to do the same exact thing, except now you're going to send them from 4 feet away. Okay. But remember, you don't move. You stay in one spot.
Like so farther back there, are you saying?
Yeah, you're going to just go 2 feet more back, right? So it'd be a total of 4 feet, 25. Same concept. You're tapping, putting pressure. He should send on his own. Ideally, with you being stationary the whole time. Okay. Now, if you have to move, I liked what you did. I think it was on the third one or the fourth one. He like gradually took steps like this.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay.
What I don't want is to walk all the way to the placemat because then that becomes part of the cue.
Okay.
And it should be placing just since but okay.
Great.
Right? Yeah. Now stay right there. And more direct pressure forward. Yeah. Tap. 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 Like that. Good. There you go. Pull, pull, pull. Pull, pull, pull. There you go. Four more. Good.
Can I do it from like the side?
Sure, you can change it up. Tap, tap right there, good. Better. Tap, tap, tap. There you go. Very good. Is that the fifth one? One more.
Great. Great.
Sleeve in the trunk by the playground on the left. Very good. All right. So we're just making sure he's got a good concept that remote now means to go to the space. Now we're going to start cueing it. Okay. So the visitors coming over thing, I have an idea if you'd like.
Okay.
I'll talk to Enrique. I'm pretty sure he'll be down for it.
Okay.
Is when I got dogs like Ollie, I would come in my big old suit and stuff.
Yeah.
But because now I have 30 clients, seeing a lot of people puts everybody at risk. So he's doing the occasional visit here and there. Is we could do kind of like, what was it, your sister that was going to help or somebody? Or your friend yesterday?
Yeah, I was gonna have a friend. Yeah.
Yeah. So what we could also do is I can send Enrique with the suit.
Okay.
And one, he can test what he's about when someone just comes in.
Yeah.
We can correct it. Two, I would be there via Zoom, and then I could coach you through everything. So it'd be like a tag team thing.
Okay.
He's present if you really want to work on what would Ollie do if Ollie had the opportunity.
Yeah.
Right
Yeah,
now,
I would like to see that.
there's 2 points to this. One is if Ollie did do something, we would correct it to stop it. Okay, as a precaution. But ultimately, you would still be in charge of making sure to take those precautions of de-escalating Ollie
Okay.
before your guest comes in. Okay. Did you get a chance to watch that video?
No, I didn't watch it.
Okay. So in the video, once you watch it, you'll have a better idea of what I mean by de-escalate.
Okay.
Because that dog has bitten, or had bitten like 2 to 3 people before training with me.
Yeah.
And she had issues with people coming in. So part of the problem was being territorial and overly stressed. So we squashed that down with the exercise, and then there was more to it in terms of socializing. So it would be both fronts. We see what he does when Enrique comes in. If he bites, it's okay. Enrique's got a 60-pound suit that's meant to be bitten.
Yeah.
And then we would correct him for that via the remote collar, okay? And then we would repeat that a few times. He can even put him under stress by touching him and petting him in his own home, which is a different thing. It's very psychological for dogs because you're like, holy crap, you just walked in my home and you're making contact with me, okay? And it'll give you an idea as well as what Ollie's about, okay? It's kind of like I think the last time I saw him, I had that sleeve
Yeah.
and I did that touch sensitivity, but he was already de-escalated,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's the whole
That was 2 times.
Yeah. That's the purpose of those things is that he doesn't know that it's not a part of me.
Yeah.
So if the intention is there, it's still going to happen. But that's why de-escalation is so important. Because when the dog is escalated and territorial, they're under stress.
Yeah.
You're more than likely going to see some kind of aggressive response when you got a dog like Ollie. Okay? Questions about that?
No.
So what we're going to do here is now we're going to go back to cueing in that word place. We're going to keep everything the same, so you'll still maintain that distance of about 4 feet. You would say place first and then immediately start remoting.
Okay.
You're not going to walk. You're just going to use that tension to direct Ollie towards the placemat. Okay? Yep. Tap. 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 Tap, tap. There it is. Yeah. See how you, like, there we go. How you went from looking and like he went from this way to looking this way, and finally after a couple of taps he like kind of lowered his head a bit.
Yeah.
That was the shift. Thank you. That was the shift in mindset. Okay, want to shorten the leash a little bit?
Short name set.
Sorry, touch on his butt.
Yeah.
It's very surprising. See how he's closed his mouth?
Yeah.
So he's not completely comfortable. There we go. Hey Enrique, would you be up for doing a home visit here for Shelby? You'd suit up and do the big boy training.
Okay, I'm down.
All right. So we'll get that scheduled, okay?
Okay.
Okay. So, go ahead and release.
Great.
And when you give that place cue, you only want to cue it once, okay?
So go from this far again.
A little bit closer. That's about 4 to 5 feet right there. Okay.
Oh, this way. Place.
Tap, tap, tap. A little bit of leash pressure. Tap, tap. Towards, yep, forward. There you go, like that. All right. And for your rhythm, you're gonna go about that tap rhythm.
Okay.
Right.
What are you doing?
He already knows. Good. Now that one,
Should I reposition him?
no. I think you forgot the same place.
Oh, I did. Oh, shit.
Yep. Okay, now we're gonna wait a moment here. Because he's already assuming, right?
Yeah.
Oh, which is good, because it means he's getting it.
Yeah.
Whenever you're ready.
Place.
Tap, tap, tap. There you go. Good. 3 more? 3?
Great.
Tap forward. There you go. Good. Relax.
Place.
Tap, 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 tap. Good. Good. Some more.
Great. Place.
I know if we get together, that is possible. We work for postal
Tap,
service and
tap,
then,
tap,
yeah, and then
tap,
I know
tap.
the position was with them for some kind of 12 years. So if you
Good. Last one.
and then we can do it because we work for it. It is hard and it's you know those guys
Please.
Tap, 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 tap. There you go. Very good. So, 85 at the moment is it's enough to get them to move, but it's not enough to get them to think. So I'm going to note that to you right now. So do you know what that tells me? Yeah, right? So not only that, but think about it this way. We're at 85, 90 for some simple ass shit. Okay. So
I do tend to like when I'm walking and as soon as I see a dog, I like grab it up immediately. But
Sure.
I know there's gonna be times that I can't.
yeah. So it's like I'm already at 85, 90 just for like the simplest of things. Then I expect when he's in a state of reactivity, it's going to be more difficult. Okay, so the whole process of remoting him very high for obedience stuff is again so like you're in his head so that he doesn't even think about being reactive. You're trying to make him more paranoid about you than about the dog that they're in passage, okay? Because once he's adrenalized, I mean, it's like with people, like, I've been in fights and I got punched and you don't feel it, and then afterwards it's like, oh my god, okay? So, it's the same thing for these guys, when they're being reactive and under stress and adrenalized, you know, I've had some dogs that I'll be maxed out and it doesn't cut through and I have to like put 2 collars on them. It's super, super rare, but they're also like 150-pound dogs. People don't think about that stuff. So every dog has a breaking point. It's just what do I need to do in order to get the dog to give up that issue or that context. So which can be another potential reason why you're struggling with the reactivity stuff. Is one, you're at 70, and then even though you escalated, here we're at 85, and he was going. But I'm looking for I really need to figure out what to do here because I hate this feeling. Okay. Part of that can either be just physical resiliency. You get dogs bite each other, so their tolerance for discomfort is very high. 2, he's under stress. He's anxious. He's in a very busy environment, and that stress can override BPL as well. Okay. So these are just things to keep in mind. So this week, when you're working with him, I would highly suggest each day. So if you're going home and you're starting at 85 today, right? And you do it for the rest of the day, and he's great. Then tomorrow, 85. He's great. The next day, 85. Right? Just keep with it. Then if it's like, nope, we did 85, and it feels like I'm still on 70, then I go to 90. The next day. Okay? For the entire day. I don't care if he yips or not, just the entire day 90. And if it feels like you're still at 70, then I go to 95 the next day. Okay, so by the time you hit day 7 and you're back here with me, you should already be at, what is that, 7 times 5 is 30, 125.
Like if it was a 14, you're saying?
115, correct. Right? So you're escalating each day. If you go out on 85 in your neighborhood and you go, man, Ollie does not feel any better, then the next day, first thing, going to 90. If it's still a shitty day, going the next day, 95. If it's a shitty day, next day, on 100. Okay? If you feel like, wow, 95 really is making a big difference, then I keep it at 95. Again, we're trying to look for space. We should be having a lot more good days than we're having bad days. Okay? How often do you come across dogs? Okay. How often is you like in that encounter with the dog reactive percentage-wise? 100%, 80%, 50%? Still all the time.
Yeah.
Jesus, what?
I mean, I have to remote him always.
Okay. But
I
we're
wouldn't
talking
say that every single time that he's full on lunging, but I absolutely have to remote him every single time.
Okay, because reactivity for me is explosive. Okay, if he's
I would say that's around 50.
okay, so bumping that number, we're gonna see what that does. Okay, I don't include looking at dogs as part of it's a reaction, but it's not reactivity. Reactivity is full blown lunging, barking. Okay, but definitely we have to not do the nice guy approach. So 85.
Okay, so random question. Like if I'm walking and we're walking this way and then there's another person like, I don't know, 100 feet in front of me and they're also walking the same direction, is it better for me to like wait? I don't know. Like he wants to like, he immediately gets, all worked up and stuff and wants to like run ahead and like, I don't know if it's better for me to like turn around, if I should go faster to try to catch up to that dog, if I should stay where I'm at. Like, I don't know.
Oh, for him?
Yeah.
Because he's wanting the forge?
Yeah, like if we're both walking the same direction.
His number.
Okay.
It's always number. Almost always. Okay, so it just means raise it. Okay, simple answer. It's a matter of making what you told Ollie to do more important to him than what he wants to do. Okay, just do that 2 times. And again, and you can do that same escalation where it's like a couple taps on 85, 90, 95. When I do remote, I escalate very quickly because I know the dog's going to do that. It's just an attraction. But for the owner, either they don't know how to do it just without looking yet, or they're really, emotionally tied up on the number. They tend to take longer. But if I have a situation like that, I use it to my advantage and go, okay, we're gonna just figure this out right now. And you might be at 127, and he might be yipping his butt off, but then all of a sudden, he's paying attention. Okay, so don't look at ideally, I don't want yelping. Ideally, but I do get cases where it's like, it's either they yelp and they cut the crap, or they don't yelp and you're living this life of just constant misery because you're just expecting your dog to be reactive. If it wasn't for these issues, then we wouldn't even do that. Okay, so don't feel bad about it. Right? Dogs bite each other. Has he met Gucci again?
Not again.
Okay.
Not yet. Hopefully she has to get her wisdom teeth this week, but
Oh, your friend?
yeah, on Monday.
So what did you end up upping it to?
What, right now?
Your remote. Which remote?
89.
We're going to see how that affects him, okay? We're going to repeat that exercise, and I'm going to have you send from different directions as well.
Okay. Great.
There you go. A little bit better.
What's wrong?
So like if he's still going in the direction, should I keep tapping? Then I feel like he wants to come back to me.
Yeah, so that's normal.
Okay.
So typically I would take off the pressure, but
Okay.
because Ollie has issues and he's continuing to have issues,
Yeah.
I look for every single opportunity to use their remote. Okay, the more you discipline and play your remote, the better he behaves. So it's kind of like get your butt there very quickly if you want this to stop. Okay, so if you said place and he shot there,
Okay.
then you're good.
Okay. Great.
My knees, my body, they complain. Really?
Place.
Yeah, yeah. There you go. That's better.
Great.
Right, good. Yep. Better.
Place.
Tap, 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 tap. There you go. See that difference now?
Great. Place. Place.
Tap, 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 tap.
Yesterday.
Good. Last one.
Milk is good. Yeah.
Place.
No, I can't do that. What
So
I
we went
probably
from
will do,
85,
I bought
90, essentially, right?
custom pills.
And he was moving more quickly.
Yeah.
He was incentivized of, like I said earlier, like mom said place, I better place, right? That's what we're trying to create with everything that we do. Concern is very essential, absolutely essential with aggressive type responses. Concern, like right there when he moved quickly, that's concern.
Oh, his. Okay.
Yeah, so like let's say if you're in a burning building, are you gonna walk out? you're gonna run out. That's concern, right? Same thing for these guys. Concern is, hey, when I tell you to do something, you better move your ass, okay? And you don't have to be mean, you don't have to yell at them, none of that negative energy stuff. The remote does all that for you, okay? So this is how I make dogs more concerned about me and the owner and whatever else is around them, in the sense of where they go, crap, I don't want to risk remote. I'm just gonna keep to myself, non-threatening, non-confrontational. I know my place, okay? But you want to achieve this for everything. This should also, again, remedy that whole forging thing, because he wasn't concerned about it. He's like 70, no big deal, right? So once you start to see the difference in the responses, and you go, oh wow, yeah, that 20 level jump made a world of a difference in his obedience and also his responses. That's how you know, like, okay. Logically, as humans, because 90 out of 127 is 3/4 of that power. People are like, oh my god, right? I'm like, who cares? I'm like, it's either that or the dog's misbehaving. Like, which one do you want, right? Because you're a nice person, right? And you care for your dog and you don't want to be mean to him and stuff. But like so what creates issues with dogs is lack of formal discipline, meaning lack of going where needed or what's necessary, and 2, emotions. Okay, like shouting, yo, stupid dog, shut up, right? That is what creates issues, okay? If I just come in, and I harshly correct dogs all the time, when appropriate, and there's no issues, because I'm not yelling at them, I'm not frustrated with them, all that stuff, just work them through it, okay? I had a dog, a little pup, I think I healed up, oh no, right here. He nailed me right here, and he flipped out, and he was only up. Bear was what, 6 months?
Bear?
Remember?
Yeah.
When he bit
Around,
me?
yeah. Oh, they're talking about Bocce.
Oh, Bocce, yeah. Bocce nailed me too. That's there. I had a really rough
A
week.
lot of love marks.
Yes. This was like 3 days. It was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So, and he was protesting. He was on a prong collar, whipping and rolling all over the place, and all I had was a prong. And I go, we're going to solve this issue right now. Because any other trainer would go, stop, he's under too much stress. I'm like, well, then he just learns he can bite me and roll around the ground and get his way. Nope, spent another 30 minutes until I essentially broke that behavior with me. So he's like, crap, Jesse doesn't play. Okay? But that's more confrontational because it's prong collar. Here, e-collar removes all that confrontation. And like, because you're on 90, right? Have you ever felt that e-collar? No. At all, period?
I was scared.
If you do it like at 15. Okay, 10 to 15. Work your way up, feel it, right? And I felt 100. I have the max powered collar. I maxed it out on 127. I felt it. I know what it feels like. It sucks. Okay. So then it's kind of like I'm going, man. A dog like him with the prong collar, forget about it. Like you have to like.
I struggle. Yeah, I really struggle.
And you still,
Like I don't know how to think of a person. So.
And even me, like we get dogs that are just either that resilient or that tough or that emotionally under stress that physicality just there's no way you can match it. That's why e-collar is so efficient. Is don't worry about it. Like do you feel bad like when you have to like blast them or?
I mean, I guess a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Like, more so when it's that initial time that he jumps up, and I'm like, oh shit.
Sure.
But like, I don't know.
Yeah. Which sucks. Like I don't like it either.
Yeah, especially when I do it for like an obedient thing, then I'm like, well, I feel like you didn't deserve that. But when it's like he's reacting to a dog, I feel bad.
Right, because you're logical.
Yeah.
Right. But can you see the logic in just trying to whip them into shape outside of the problem?
Yeah.
Right.
I know.
And requires a higher number.
Yeah.
So I can't remember. It was that dog that day, right? When the scooter came by. I think it was a couple weeks ago.
It was the scooter. The dog was gone though.
Because it was the dog and it was the scooter.
Yeah. The scooter is what made me react.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I think it was that day where I said 85 or something like that, or where I had you bump it up. Yeah. And so this doesn't make you feel bad. But let's say you did start doing 85 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We'd be building off of whatever we learned in those 2 weeks on 85.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So I get it. It sucks. This is unfortunately the dog that you have. I've been there myself. and I've had worse. So, just be at least grateful for it's not that. It's not one of those cases.
I know.
Okay, so we're gonna do this again. I'm gonna move the placemat so we can do a bit more difference in range,
Okay.
and we're gonna increase the distance as well. Okay.
Great.
Yep. Whenever you're ready. Correct. But we're at that 89 now.
Place.
Right there. Tap, tap, tap. Wait a moment.
Place.
Tap, 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 tap. Good.
Good.
3 more.
Great. Listening.
She's giving him a ton of praise, so I had her dial it down.
Place.
Good. 2 more. Right.
Place.
Tap, 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 tap. There we go.
Got some pep in your step.
There you go. 1 more. Bump towards you. Tap, 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 tap. There you go.
That's what they're saying. That's why I think I'm going to
Place.
Tap, 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 tap. Good. So do you know why there was that delay there? Because since you had to correct them for that last one, he wasn't sure if tap meant to stay by you.
Yeah.
It's normal.
Okay.
It's part of the process. The only way to clarify for them is to just put them through it.
Okay.
Good. So you said to yourself, oh, there's some pep in your step now.
Yeah.
Okay, because we're at the appropriate number.
Yeah.
Just keep that in mind when you are working with it. So how this is going to work in conjunction with the other stuff is when someone enters the home, again, that's territorial behavior, it's normal. But some dogs take it a little too far, or we're not sure how far they can take it, right? So what we would cover over the Zoom is to shut down that territorial response, the barking and all that stuff, to de-escalate him, okay? The second half of it would be, now that you're calm, go put your butt over there and don't move for the next 2 or 3 hours. Okay, so when you've employed place, how long do you use it for?
I don't know. It depends.
Okay. With this command, you can do as long as you want. Okay, so there's 2 aspects to this. There's the send, which is place, and he goes. Because you've had previous training, we're just building off of whatever they established. And what I'm doing is I'm making it, because again, most people walk the dog all the way to the placemat, and I want the dog to just go. Okay, so I remove myself and I go, figure it out, because I'm not going to help you. Okay, and the reason why I do that approach, again, is because of his personality type. The more I come across as the do it or else kind of energy, he doesn't want to screw with that. He's like, you play no games. He's like, you're an asshole. See? Without the need of being an asshole. Okay? That's why when you're sounding like tap, 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 like I'm really going to go a lot of pressure on him to make him very quick so that, again, I don't see any of those negative responses. So this in itself, this exercise, 2 times a day, 2 to 3 minutes. Because it's redundant. No, send. So like place, break, place, free, place.
Oh, do it for 2.
Yeah,
okay,
real short.
Got it.
Because it's redundant. The back and forth is redundant. Okay. Then you can
Would I
end
do
it.
it with the leash or off?
I would do it with the leash in the beginning. Because if you do it without the leash, when you start remoting him, he's most likely going to try to possibly get away.
So when I remote him at home, he does go right to his place.
Okay.
I
What's the number?
Safe place. At home, well, yeah, probably like in the 70s.
Okay. Now that we're adjusting the number,
I'll leave it open.
yeah,
Yeah.
is
Because the window's been open, so I leave the car on it sometimes during the day and he'll
Sure.
start barking, so then I'll tap and then
okay. We'll talk about that too. Okay, is when you send them, now that we're at a higher power, potentially you can try some to it. Okay, so I would do it for the first few times. Once you feel like he's solid, then you're good. And I would be a jerk. And like, let's say he's all the way over there, and I'm over here, and I know I can make him come over here. I'll go Ollie place and start remoting him, and make his little butt run from the edge of the room all the way over here. I'm using again every opportunity to use that remote to discipline him. Like, look, bud, Mom isn't playing anymore. I tell you to do something, do it, or it's going to be a lot of discipline in that time frame. Okay. If you're going to have someone come over and you're employing this, I suggest you do have leashed up. Okay, just as an extra precaution. So. It would be two parts if you're using this. It'd be to back him up, de-escalate him, no longer territorial, barking, lunging, and then it's go over here. Most trainers or people apply it as, oh, your dog's lunging and barking, send them here first. But then they go here, and they're still in their brain wanting to lunge and bark. So when you open the door, that's exactly what they do. You have to shut down the one thing before you can progress to the next thing. Okay? In my opinion, I just do the back away from the door. It's usually sufficient, but if you're wanting an added layer of control, then we use this, okay? Now, if Ollie's on his placemat and there's no tension, he's minding his business and stuff like that, we want to know what his triggers would be. Anxious energy, loud energy, like someone coming in, maybe a very boisterous personality type. Maybe, friends come over to watch a game or something and they're like jumps up and starts cheering. Like those are the things that I would anticipate would offset a dog like Ollie, okay? So then you have to be a step ahead and think, if I'm going to have so many people come over and yes, it's going to be loud, do I want to have them out? Right? If you're trying to press them socially, muzzle them and keep them out. Because if you tell your friends, hey, I'm training Ollie, and if you have if you get a place that's like those old school radiators, you can tether the leash to him. Or like a table, anything that you can use to your advantage. You're like, oh, I can tether Ollie, he can't get from the situation or from the table, whatever. Then it's very controlled, and then if he does try something, he's not going to get anywhere, and I can correct him and make his little butt run back. Okay. If you're going to do this for any period of time, like when guests come over, you do have to practice it on your own time for a period of time. So
when would I free him? When I see that he's calmed down?
You mean throughout the day, or like when a guest is over?
A guest is over, they're new, I make him go to his place. When can I free him?
When you decide it's okay.
Like when he's calm now, like when I see that he's calm down.
And then when you release him, there's still more to be done. Okay? What I would do at this stage is if you do that, he's just under control the entire time. Okay? Until we learn the socialization exercise with people, which is simple. Okay? If you're gonna be in the home and you're gonna watch Netflix or make dinner or whatever, you should be able to send Ollie, and he doesn't move for 2 to 3 hours. There should be no reason why you can't hold that. Okay? He's gonna make mistakes though. That's the collar comes into play. So if he's leashed up and he tries to break position, I start remoting him, and he shoots off. I keep remoting him, grab his leash, bring him back, lead him back here, get your butt over there, right? You do not repeat the command, ever. Because if you repeat it, you simply reset. So the way a dog brains work is if you say place, and he gets off, and you say place, it's a whole new thing, okay? And if he breaks position and you correct him with no words, he thinks, oh, when mom sends me there, it's don't move or else you get corrected, no more, okay? So we never repeat anything. So then he's there until you get that free command. If you know you would use this command for any period of time when your guest is over like 2 to 3 hours, you have to practice 2 to 3 hours, on your own time. You don't have to sit there watching them. Again, do it while you're doing stuff. If you're going to watch Netflix for a bit, pop it down, place, right? And an hour later, you try to get off remote, he goes back on, great, go back to watching Netflix for another 30 minutes, okay? That's how he learns not to get off in the first place. When you have guests come over, in the beginning, it would be, give him a space, okay? So if there's somewhere like, let's say the kitchen or the bathroom and stuff where your guests would walk through, I would figure a spot where you can move your mat or your bed or whatever you have, so that you wouldn't have to worry about like the person having to walk by Ollie.
Yeah, our new place will be like that. The place right now is like a year layout.
Sure. Yeah, so then you just figure that out, okay?
Do I remote him when he's in his place and he's like whining and crying? Would I remote him?
You can correct for anything you don't want. Okay, whining, barking, licking the kennel, biting at the kennel. You know, if I'm on the couch and he's pushing for attention, I can correct that too. And I suggest that you do. Okay. When it comes to the barking in the home, do you say anything or do you just remote it?
If the collar's on him, I just remote him. If the collar's not.
Okay. So I'm assuming you've been
Because
doing
I don't keep it on 24/7.
Correct.
But like a
If
few
it's
hours
like-
a day, throughout the day.
Sure. So let's say he starts barking, you remote him on 70.
Yeah.
Does he stop immediately or does he keep? He does. Okay. So then what we should see is again a bigger gap between those moments of when he barks for something, you correct them.
There has already been, yeah, bigger
Okay.
gaps of that.
Good.
There's been a lot of, that's one good, a lot of improvement with that.
Okay. So that should improve even more with the higher number.
Okay.
And if you want to put in a cue just to have it when he doesn't have the collar on, you know, quiet or whatever, and then you follow through with taps with the higher number. Okay? Questions about that?
No.
All right. Anything else? So what happens this week? Yeah, her class is like 30 minutes. And we're gonna do the same thing we did last time. So you're gonna get a lot of redundancy.
Yeah, that's fine. It'll be good.
But this dog, same kind of issue,
Okay.
and he's on a high-powered collar, and his number is 127.
Okay.
Yeah,
Which is what is it?
it's a pit. Yeah, he's a little short, stockier pit,
Yeah.
but he's a pretty solid guy. So we'll see how it works out.
Should I take that back?
Yeah, we're gonna.